are back. Man, it feels good to be back. I missed you guys. 2 weeks off of not podcasting after doing this for a long time. It feels a little weird. It feels a little lonely. Not just because we're quarantined, because I'm not anymore. I got sick and tired of it. I don't know about you. But thank you for everyone praying for us as my daughter was born. We're all doing great. We're doing healthy. Today, I want to talk about your decision, your mindset of whether to be oppressed or opportunistic. You can choose to whether be an oppressed person or an optimistic person. But you may not be able to choose pronouncing it correctly like me. Just kidding. I was talking with David, and I was like, man, with all the things that are happening, a business podcast seems like the least relevant thing. And he said, man, you're so wrong. This is the time where we need to be building up. You see, the liberals are burning down Minneapolis. They are rioting in the streets right now. The people that reject God's law are destroying, burning, ruining society, ruining people's businesses, ruining people's lives. But we are called to something different. We are called to reconciliation. We are called to loving our neighbors. We're called to being a blessing to those around us, to our families, to our church, to our community. And building businesses is one of those ways that we do all of those things. It's how we provide revenue, tithing for our churches. It's how we provide for our families, our children. It's for how we provide value to our communities and help bring people out of poverty, bring people out of the circumstances they're in. And it's what we're seeing right now is something diametrically opposed to the gospel, diametrically opposed to God's plan. It's absolutely crushing. It's sobering. The world is on fire in so many more ways than just literally. And it's going to be interesting to see us go back. This is How to Build a Tent. Thank you for watching, sharing the show, liking the show on YouTube. We started joining Parler. And let me tell you just a little bit about Parler. This is a site that is branding itself as someone who doesn't censor, who doesn't have algorithms that filters out posts. And I've been on it for about a few days. If you haven't checked it out yet, go over there. P-A-R, I probably shouldn't even, I don't even know how to spell it, quite honestly. Let's see, I'm typing it in right now. Parler Social Media, P-A-R-L-E-R. That's where it is. You can find me at How to Build a Tent. That's my handle. On all the social media sites, you can find me that way. And let me just tell you, being on it for a couple days, I've already grown faster in 2 days than I did the first year on YouTube, which I don't know if that's something to, announce or to be embarrassed about. But also the interactions and engagements I get on my posts from just having several hundred people follow me in the first couple days is already multiple times more than the engagement I get on Facebook or Twitter with multiples more followers. How is that even possible? How is that even possible? But anyways, I'm really excited. And what I'm excited about is I'm seeing a push, an exodus from these other sites, seeing big name people, big name podcasts, bigger than me, bigger than people on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. I'm seeing Donald Trump's relatives on there, seeing big news media out there. I would highly recommend you get on board and jump on the ship. All right. Well, okay. So we know. Oh, also, I'm a little rusty on my intro. You go to Fight Laugh Feast, go over to flfnetwork.com, put an HTBT in a memo field, become a member, and help support us as we proclaim the lordship of Jesus in every area of life. And man, does the world need the gospel more than ever. More than ever. Just before I came on the show, it was so depressing. I was talking with a friend of mine and commenting with somebody else who I don't know on her post. They're both liberal Marxists, Christians. They claim to be Christians, but they talk in Marxism. They talk in victimhood. They talk in statuses. They talk in oppression and systemic oppression and all these things. And I left a comment that was very biblical and saying we need to not encourage these riots. We need to not encourage this destruction as justification to get people's attention towards this alleged murder that happened in Minnesota, which it's a false dichotomy to say that you can't be upset with the Michael Floyd murder and also be upset at the riots as well. You can be upset at both of them, but it's sad to see Christians that are justifying the riots because of the oppression that black people have had for so long. And just for the record, I just want to say I do not believe that a majority of these incidents are racial. I'm sure there are some of them that are. I'm sure there are racist cops out there. I'm not saying that. But in general, I believe that the problem is far more of a thug mentality that some police officers have. Again, not all of them. I think majority of officers are not this way. But there are numerous cases, and I cited one on the social media the other day, and this is totally off topic, I'm sorry, but I just want to, it's relevant. It's something we need to consider. There was this man who was schizophrenic. He's a white guy. And there's this video in Fullerton, and then the cops, like 5 or 6 of them, beat this kid to death. Like, he was a young adult. I'm not saying kid like kid, but, I think he was in his 20s. I can't remember exactly. And the cops were acquitted. They didn't get charged. I mean, they got charged, but went to court and they got acquitted from my recollection. But it was white cops on a white guy, and they kicked him. And in the video, you can hear him screaming out for his dad to save him, for him to help him. It's just absolutely crushing. And there's several other stories like that. And Matt Walsh posted this one example of a guy who was on his knees surrendering, and the cops shot him in the head and killed him. And you just don't hear those stories because they don't fit the narrative. And so I would just really encourage you guys to think through the data and kind of come out of what is trying to be presented to us, the stories being presented to us, because until we identify the problem correctly, we're not going to fix it. And I don't think it's a racial problem. I think it's a thuggery problem, that we have a bunch of thugs and bullies, ruthless people on the police force. Again, not all of them, not most of them, but enough where these things happen, and they shouldn't happen. They should be tried for murder just like any other citizen. They're not above the law. But there's all these things that are happening. There's all these situations. We have the shutdown in the economy. Your businesses have probably suffered from it. Your careers might have suffered from it. I've been blessed to not be really impacted by it in any significant way, except my ribeyes have gone up like $20 a pound, it feels like. But you have been impacted. And the truth is throughout all of life, even just a natural economic recession has impact to you. And there are things that you can't control that are going to happen to you. It's the nature of living in this sinful world. And you can go down this route of the people I was talking with, that you claim victimhood. You say that these people have been oppressed, and maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. But you have a choice on how you are going to deal with it. And that's what I want to encourage you with today. You may be feeling down. You may be feeling oppressed. You may be feeling like life is against you. Your building might have been burned in the riots. Your business might have been closed from the shutdowns from this coronavirus. And you have a choice. You can throw the pity party. You can throw the victimhood card. You might get a bunch of likes on YouTube or Twitter, depending on what skin color you are. But it's not going to do you any good. And it's interesting, the past couple months, I have been so busy working on projects with other people that have chosen not to be oppressed, chosen not to have the oppression card played, but instead have the mindset of being opportunistic. See, what is happening is shifts in the economy. And what's sad is that these riots, it's not just a shift in demand like we've talked about before with the coronavirus and the shutdowns, but it's actual destruction. That when a bar or a restaurant or a store gets burned to the ground, there's no shift in demand or shift in opportunities, shift in demand curves. There's not opportunities to be had there, except to build a new restaurant or something completely somewhere else. But this is absolute destruction. This is hurting the communities. This is hurting innocent lives. But regardless, you can either choose to be oppressed or look for these situations, regardless of what it is, and look for the opportunity, because there is always opportunity. As long as there is freedom to make decisions on how you want to invest, use your time, your resources, your private property, as long as capitalism remains in some form. Again, I know we're not in a pure capitalist society, but as long as it remains in some form, there's opportunities. And I have chosen to, part of the mindset and the reason I'm able to have this mindset and not this woe is me, or man, I didn't get that job I wanted, or man, my business closed down, or man, I can't believe that recession happened. Because back in 2008, when the Great Recession happened, I had a business that was picking up and thriving, and overnight my business died. Nothing I did wrong. But because of just the economy, it shifted and my business, I was out of business. And I could have been, woe is me, but I decided to look at opportunities and decided to make the most of it. And so one of the ways that we can do that is surround ourselves with like-minded people who do the same. I guarantee you the most successful people in the world do not look at themselves as impressed. They might be successful on social media. They might be successful in the media, mainstream media. But in real life, when we're talking about creating value, developing an inheritance for your kids, developing wealth for yourself, developing an opportunity and value to your community, that happens not from being oppressed or considering yourself impressed and having a mindset of that, but by being opportunistic. And one of the ways you do that is surround yourself by these people. You find successful people and you learn from them. You try to work with them. You try to add value to them. You don't try to just take from them, but you try to work for them. You try to help them. And when you do that, opportunities come around. In times like this, like I said, I've never been busier before because there are plenty of opportunities that are happening. And one of those coming around the corner that is a tip for you is commercial property is going to have a great opportunity to either find a cheap lease, to buy certain strip malls or other commercial properties. There is going to be a whole lot of supply of these commercial properties because there's a lot of companies that are going under from this virus and aren't going to be able to pay their leases, which in turn the owners of those buildings are not going to be able to pay their mortgages. And so they are going to go through default. They're going to be repossessed, and there's going to be a huge supply. At least that's my guess, and that's what other people are assuming as well. And so this leads me to my second point, and then we'll leave it at that and keep it a little shorter show today, is one of the ways that you can have this mindset of being opportunistic and not being oppressed is being prepared. And when you prepare for these opportunities, you don't prepare for them now when we're already in the middle of the burning fires of the riots, in the burning fires of their government shutting us down, in the burning fires of whatever is impressing you or whatever has happened to you. It's building that in the good times. It's saving up money, paying off debts, doing the Dave Ramsey plan, and saving up your nest egg so that when these times come again, and they will, then you move all in with your chips and say, oh, these commercial properties are all for sale, 50% below market value, I believe, 50% below their value. I buy all of them with the money I sent. Or maybe it's one shop. Maybe it's one business that you're going to start. You move all in. You pick up all of those tools, capital that is being wholesaled away because businesses are going out of business. The Black Swan events. There's this great book called The Black Swan. I forgot his name. It's a really weird name, but it's a really great book. It talks about this. It's capitalizing off of the downturns. Everyone wants to be optimistic, but when you prepare for the downturns, you can make great moves to put you in great positions of great wealth. And that's what you need to be thinking like. You need to stop thinking like you're oppressed and start thinking in opportunistic terms. You want to be an opportunist, not an oppressionist, not an impressionist like art, but oppressionist like so many people are today in this world. We need to be men that are building society. We need to be building wealth, creating opportunities, creating value, and not be those that are seeking to destroy all of civilization. And the lines have never been more clear in my whole life. I don't know about you. It's amazing. We have fires launching rockets into space, and we have fires burning cities to the ground in the same day. Which fire do you want to start? Do you want to build spaceships, or do you want to create destruction? Let's look to build the metaphorical spaceships. Let's look to provide value. Let's look for those opportunities, and let's prepare ourselves. Let's discipline ourselves to take advantage of them. Surround ourselves by people that are like-minded. Surround ourselves by people that have done it and learn from them, work with them, and let's go be successful. We'll talk to you tomorrow. God bless.